I'd like to say great day to the viewing audience. Welcome to Walking in the Spirit, hosted by the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research, Omaha. My name is Stephan Williams, and I will be your host for today's program. We're going to continue on with our series entitled The Universe by the Pattern. And I would like for the viewing audience to get out your Bibles, your notebooks, your highlighters, your pens, your pencils, and study with us. Let's continue on. I need you to get right here for the viewing audience right here. Go as far as you can in. It says, Mars, the red planet. And what I'm pointing to, it says here, universe, and which is on this particular plate or visual, are the planets in the universe according to the tabernacle pattern. It says, according to the diagram of the tabernacle showing the planets being situated in place of the vessels, planet Mars is likened unto the brazen altar of sacrifice, okay? Which you have right here, okay? According to the tabernacle pattern, right here, this vessel right here is called the brazen altar of sacrifice, okay? Let's sign back over here, please. It says Mars is conspicuous for the redness of its light. It is the fourth in order from the sun. So we have the sun here. So it's fourth in order from the sun. And its surface bears some resemblance to that of Earth. The surface of Mars is crisscrossed by a network of lines or canals, giving it a geometrical network or grating. The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar. It shall never go out. And that's Leviticus, the 6th chapter, verse 13. The surface, having a distinct reddish color, depicts the ever presence of fire on the altar. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof beneath unto the midst of it. And that's Exodus, the 38th chapter, and verse 4. It says Mars. Mars, the Roman god of war, at an early period identified with the Greek Ares, a deity of similar attributes. Like Jupiter, he was designated father and was regarded in particular as the father of the Roman people. Ares, the Greek god of war, was the son of Zeus, Jupiter, and Hera, Juno. He is represented as terrible in battle. The chief seats of the worship of Ares were in Thrace and Scythia. Mars Hills, that's the Acts, the 17th chapter, called Hill of Ares. A barren hill of the famous Acropolis in Athens. It was dedicated to Ares, the god of war. The elevated place became the seat of the Greek council. Because of sudden interest in his message, Paul was taken there to clarify his mysterious teachings. Now, while Paul waited for them at Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given to idolatry. That's Acts, the 17th chapter and verse 16. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, man or woman, that has wrought wickedness in the sight of the Elohim, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the hosts of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought in Israel. Then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man of that woman, and shalt stone them with stones till they die. That's Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, verses 2 through 5. Definite seasonal changes in Martian features have been observed. The most conspicuous are the variations in size of the polar caps. As winter progresses in the southern hemisphere of Mars, the polar cap increases until nearly half of the hemisphere is covered. In the spring, the polar cap diminishes, and it frequently disappears altogether with the coming of summer. The sequence is in the northern hemisphere is similar, except that the polar cap does not vanish completely during the summer and does not extend as far toward the equator during the winter. These differences result from the extreme intensity of solar radiation received by the southern hemisphere. The orbital eccentricity causes hotter summers and colder winters in the southern hemisphere as compared with northern hemisphere. Intensification of contrast and color changes in the dark areas also vary seasonally. These dark markings, the Maria, are most prominent in whichever hemisphere the polar cap is receding. During the spring and summer, many dark areas appear to have a strong blue-green color, which fades with autumn and becomes brownish with the onset of winter. It is these seasonal variations that give rise to theory that the Maria are areas of vegetation. Considerable haze and variable cloud formations, some of which move rapidly over the surface of the planet, are observed from time to time. The haze becomes evident when we compare photographs of Mars taken in red light. The need for purification from sin or the desire of the worshiper to enter into fellowship with Yahweh Elohim is shown by various kinds of offerings that was placed upon the sacrificial altar. Then we want to pan over here to the tabernacle pattern. We're going to focus right here on the tabernacle pattern here. Right here, what is called this vessel as the brazen altar of sin sacrifice. We're going to focus here for the viewing audience. It says, Yahweh Elohim is shown by the various kinds of offerings that was placed upon the sacrificial altar, the burnt offering, the meal or meat offering, the peace offering, the sin offering, the trespass offering, the drink offering. These offerings had the use of bullocks, rams, turtle doves, flour, oil, frankincense, salt, and birds. As you can see, these sacrifices were derived from both animal and vegetable kingdoms. This is why the planet Mars, representing the altar of sacrifice, showing seasonal changes from blue, green, brown, red, etc., presents the theory of life on the planet. However, all animals that were placed upon the altar were dead sacrifices. This is proof that no life exists on the planet Mars. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar and spread a purple cloth thereon. You can find that in Numbers, the 4th chapter, verse 13. How beautiful this is represented by the violet clouds mentioned in the paragraph below. 6 photographs of Mars taken in colors ranging from ultraviolet. I'm going to pan right back over here to the planets that are placed in the solar system or in the universe. Back to Mars here. 6 photographs of Mars taken in colors ranging from ultraviolet through violet, green, yellow, red, and infrared. The surface markings appear most clearly in the longer waves. Visible are the violet clouds near the terminator and also near the south solar cap at the top. Yahshua the Messiah, who was sacrificed for the sins of the world. And that's Mark the 15th chapter, verse 17, states when he is about to be crucified and placed upon the altar, and they clothed him with purple or violet and plaited a crown of thorns and put it around his head. Planet Mars truly depicts the brazen altar of sacrifice. So you're going to pan right back over here for the viewing audience. Back to the brazen altar of sin sacrifice. And right here is a pictorial illustration of Yahshua Messiah when he was crucified, with the crown of thorns around his head here. Keep it right there. Planet Jupiter depicts Yahshua in the flesh. Now we're going right back over here. Now we focus on the planet Jupiter now. Planet Jupiter depicts Yahshua in the flesh. Jupiter is the largest and most massive planet in the solar system. Its mass is twice that of all the other planets combined. It is pointing to Yahweh, the Father of all. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all gods. For in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. That's Exodus, the 18th chapter and verse 11. Jupiter has a rotational period of 9 hours and 50.5 minutes and 5 substances that make up the atmosphere, namely 1, hydrogen, 2, helium, 3, ammonia, 4, methane, and 5, water. How beautifully this represents Yahweh in the cloud, having 9 attributes that describe him. And when he spoke from the cloud 50 days after the Israelites made their journey from Egypt into the wilderness. I'm going to pan back up there in the cloud there. Just get up there. And pan over to the cloud here. Come on, follow me. This is the cloud that I just read about here, with the 9 divine attributes, which is wisdom, knowledge, intelligence, love, beauty, justice, power, foundation, and strength. Okay? And it's 50. He spoke down to the children of Israel when he gathered around here at the foot of Mount Sinai on their from their journey out of Egypt into the wilderness of Sinai, and gathered around this mount here. And Yahweh spoke down the 10 Commandments on June 6th to the children of Israel. Okay? I'm back over here. Back to the planet Jupiter that we're focusing on right here for a moment. Jupiter is utterly unlike Earth, and as it is more like the sun in composition, as Jupiter represents Yahshua the Messiah. He was not earthly, but came in the likeness of sinful flesh. That's Romans the 8th chapter and verse 3. It is being a cloud-covered planet. Jupiter, being a cloud-covered planet, is a physical manifestation of how that Yahweh Elohim dwelt in the cloud. And I need for you to read for me, please, and pan right over here for the viewing audience here to tabernacle pattern in the most holy place here. I need you read for me, please, Leviticus the 16th chapter and verse 2.
Leviticus 16 and 2 out of the Holy Name Bible. And Yahweh said unto Moses, Speak unto Aaron thy brother, that he come not at all times into the most holy place, within the veil, before the mercy seat, which is upon the ark, that he die not. For I will appear in the cloud upon the mercy seat.
Thank you, reader. So this is a pictorial illustration of the cloud here, which depicts Yahweh, who is pure spirit. The eye of Yahweh is in this cloud here, upon the mercy seat, in the Ark of the Covenant, okay? He says, and it came to pass that in the morning watch, Elohim looked through the pillar of fire and of the cloud and troubled the host of the Egyptians. That's Exodus, the 14th chapter, verse 24, and Revelation 10 and 1. States, and I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. Okay, so right here, for the viewing audience here, you have a pictorial illustration of this cloud that led the children of Israel up out of the land of Egypt. Okay? And Yahshua Messiah, or Yahshua the son of Nun, same one was in this cloud truly. It was light unto the children of Israel, and it was dark unto the Egyptians that pursued after the children of Israel, okay? And this right here is a cloud, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow under his, and the rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillar of fire. This pictorial illustration right here. Keep it right there. It has been known to have 12 satellites, which pointed to the 12 disciples of the Messiah, which were later called the apostles. However, the 13th satellite has been discovered. They are late in their discovery, and this testifies to the fact that the apostles, that the apostle Paul was placed in the stead of Judas, who betrayed the Messiah and then hung himself. And the Apostle Paul speaks of himself as one born out of due time. That's 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, verse 8 and 9. And as the least of the apostles, Romans, the 1st chapter and verse 1 states that Paul, a servant of Yahshua Messiah, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of Elohim, is likened unto the 13th satellite or attendant. Back here for the viewing audience. Yeah. Jupiter has one or more satellites that defy majority rule and circle the planet in a direction opposite to the planet's own rotation. How beautifully this represents the great multitude that follow the Messiah, some just for food, some just to be healed in their bodies, and some because they were astonished at his doctrine. Due to unbelief, many turned and followed him no more. The central core of Jupiter is thought to be composed of mass of solid rock. This is a perfect testimony to the fact that the solid rock is Yahshua the Messiah. I need read from your reader, please, Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter and the 4th verse.
Deuteronomy 32 and 4 out of the Holy Name Bible. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are judgment, the ale of truth and without iniquity. Just and right is he.
Thank you, reader. Follow me. I need to pan this right over to the when I want to cross there. Once again, this is a pictorial illustration of Yahshua, the Messiah, who is also called the Rock. Stay right there. I need also read for me, reader, please, 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter and verse 4.
1 Corinthians 10 and 4 out of the Holy Name Bible. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drunk of that spiritual rock that went with them, and the rock was the Messiah.
And the rock was the Messiah. Thank you, reader. Back here to the planet Jupiter here. So are we in? Jupiter's great red spot. The most striking feature of Jupiter is the great red spot. The spot is approximately 30,000 miles long and 7,000 miles in breadth, and is of brick red color. It has been described as a cyclone, a floating island of particles, and an atmospheric effect caused by volcanic activity far between the layers of clouds. It is still not known whether the spot is an aggregate of particles or an atmospheric circulation, nor is it known what substances causes it red colored. There was a Passover feast instituted in Egypt, Exodus, the 12th chapter. Need to pan right over here with a viewing audience. Go down to the land of Egypt up there, the Moses chart. This is a pictorial illustration of the land of Egypt. Okay. where the Passover feast was instituted down here to the children of Israel in the land of Egypt. Before the children of Israel could leave out from the bondage unto Pharaoh, they were to take a lamb without blemish, a male of the first year, and kill it in the evening. And dipping from a basin, take its blood and strike it on the two side posts, what you see here. You have 4 points of blood here on the door. You have the lamb here that they slayed, and drain that blood out and drain that blood in the basin. So take the blood, and dip in the basin, and take the blood and strike on the two side posts, upper door post, or upper lintel of the door. This forms a cross. The putting of blood of the lamb upon the door frame of their houses prefigured the slaying of the true Lamb of Yahweh. And that will conclude another day's program. Until we meet next week, I'd like to leave you with these few words: righteousness, peace, and joy in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah. Hallelujah.